Welcome to the Meeple Syrup Aftershow, where designers discuss design. We're on episode 23. We're all just sitting around the table for the Aftershow, and we're here with our special third host, Suzanne, and also Scott Alden from BGG, and we're hoping Eric Merton's coming. We're not sure. He'll just drop in the conversation, too. But right off the bat, let's start talking about during the downtime, we remind ourselves about an interesting story going on in Canada, and it has implications on the game industry in general, and that is Geek Chic. Sam, why don't you give us the Cole's notes of what's the story?
All right, so apparently the Language Commission in Quebec, which is part of Canada, is bearing down on this one store in particular that is selling board games, Chez Geek, and they are selling games that are coming from America, coming from other countries, wherever, that don't necessarily have an a French edition of the rules, and that is where the quote-unquote language police are very upset and are trying to levy fines and things like that. So we just kind of wanted to talk about that and see, what is going on? What is that? What are the implications for the business and the industry if that kind of stuff is being dictated by the government? Any thoughts?
It's not exciting. I'm not really happy to hear it. I mean, I don't know to what extent their power is and over the language of things being sold there. Does that apply to like the carton of milk? Is it all every single thing that is sold in Quebec has to have French and at least French, and it could have more languages on it? Wow.
Yes.
That's intense.
Yeah. There is a list of items that don't have to have it, but they're like really few and far between. I don't even know what it is. I'd have to look it up. Dylan would probably actually know off the top of his head.
Well, they can. I mean, and my understanding is that there's like, if they don't comply, there's a fine, and they would just keep on having to pay the fine. But my understanding, and I'm not a retailer, or I can't speak to it. But I mean, board games, aside from Magic the Gathering, it's not a high margin industry.
Exactly.
So,
especially for a store, the retail.
Exactly.
Yes. Very low margins.
I've been to the store. It's not like it's this like crazy busy huge store. It's just a pretty small store. You walk up the steps, you go inside. They got a few gaming tables. They have a decent selection, but we're not talking like this huge plethora of games, and they're not offering options. They're trying to stock, A, what sells, what's popular, and then B, they're trying to have a variety of games that are both English and French because they want to sell what their clients want. So clearly, if French games were flying off the shelves, they would be stocking lots of French games.
Yeah.
And it's not even just that. I mean, so Suzanne and Eric and Aldie wouldn't know this, but Daryl might remember. We used to get video games, and they came in like the jewel cases and whatnot.
Yeah, totally.
And they'd shrink wrap French rules into the American or Japanese copies so that it could be sold in Canada, because it had to have, by legality, had to have a copy of rules in French for it to be sold in Canada. So, I mean, it is a thing. It is a real thing. I believe they're linked to Board to Death TV, aren't they, Daryl?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the guy. He runs Board to Death.
Yeah. And also, I believe that they are not. It's not just the games and the rules there that are the major problem. Or I mean, they might be the major issue, but there's also other issues in compliance with other things like signage and whatnot at the store that are also being looked at. So
yeah, like if they have a poster for King of Tokyo, it doesn't have the French, King of Tokyo.
Man, that is intense. I had no idea that it was that strict.
Yeah, and usually, you know what? It's you don't hear about it.
Yeah.
We're just hearing about it because we're a very small.
Yeah. It's an interesting
community,
story for the board game. There's not probably very many board game stores, if any, there.
Yeah.
Very few.
And that are getting into this trouble anyways, right? So.
I mean, here's the solution. He either stops selling all English, or just sells French games, or moves to a different.
Yeah. Well, and then the weirdness also becomes like you lose your game stores because then they all become online stores.
Yeah, I mean the government. I gotta think they there's some kind of appeal process maybe they could investigate. I don't know. I mean, it just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't like
It doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
Government stuff dealing with it is just no fun.
I thought there was just an advisory board, but they actually have penalties that they can suggest and are then applied. Is that how it works?
I believe it might be a little more stringent than that, but I mean we'll have to look into it. It's not. I didn't really. I know the story. I just didn't follow it and haven't looked at the law.
Yeah, we'll look into it and follow it up. I mean, we'll just get the conversation started on that, and hopefully there'll be some
good. How it all turns out. I mean,
some good news will come out of it.
My gut feeling is he'll be fined into oblivion, and then he'll move.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I think reality-wise, it'll probably be that. I mean, that's the simplest and sadly the.
I mean, he basically said that in the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just also want to mention thanks to a couple more backers, Jeremiah Lee and Bruno V. Thank you for your support. It's just amazing, the support and just spreading the word. We really appreciate you believing in Meeple Syrup and helping whatever way you can. So we really
and in the next few days we'll have some avatars for supporters and also some artwork that will show you guys.
Do you guys have a Meeple Syrup micro badge on Board Game Geek?
Sure. We will. Let's do that.
Or do you?
No.
You need to get one made.
Yeah.
Have the fan thing.
Yeah, we can do that.
We would love to do that. All right.
How do we do that?
Good question. There's actually a forum post on Board Game Geek that says how to create a micro badge.
Maybe we can suck up to someone we know.
Yeah,
and ask them.
I could bypass the process, but it probably wouldn't look too good for.
No. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
no, I actually just want to know
actually.
about the creation. I don't even understand the creation.
Yeah, actually, if you post in the forum, there's a bunch of micro badge artists out there that are super talented, and they'll make one for you.
That's a real skill.
You give them you've got a logo already with the pancakes and stuff.
Yeah.
So they could probably convert that into something for you.
Eric, you're just like the Wizard of Links.
Yeah.
Sending me links
All right,
here.
I will tweet this link out. Anyone who's curious
awesome.
about that, please. This is a very informative, link-heavy episode, and this is.
That's what you get when you have Eric Martin on your show.
When we have Eric Martin, he has sources.
Yeah, he's got the link.
Part of the reason, another thing we didn't mention on the other show was that are we allowed to refer to the other show?
Yeah, please.
No, never.
We're in the same.
We actually like to.
You can also break the fourth wall if you want.
We have to change our shirts, make it seem.
This is another day. What are you talking about?
Other show? Was ist this other show?
Eric wrote a guide to issuing a press release.
Yes, that was a
awesome.
fantastic article.
Yeah, and hopefully people are using that. That's a cool article.
That was a phenomenal. I think we actually tweeted and posted
that. Yeah.
At the time when it came out because we just started actually around that time.
There it is. There's the link.
Yeah, and I'll send that out.
That's amazing. Is there a link for designers on how to create or what needs to be on a good sell sheet? Because I know that, like with Unpub recently, that was kind of a topic.
Yeah, I mean, we have our one on our inspiration to publication blog,
Bamboozle
in the
Bros
section, bamboozlebrothers.com. And then also Luke Laurie and the League of Game Makers.
They did a compilation.
Yeah,
of
so
a whole
they
bunch
took
of them.
they did kind of a meta-analysis of some of the better pros and cons and tips from around the web on how to make sell sheets.
That was fantastic. They did it just before Gen Con, so people could critique and help each other out just before.
To get ready for Gen Con.
And then when they came to Gen Con, they had these high-quality sell sheets that they could bring around and they already have other people that know about it even.
I'm just laughing at the size of the link. Not only do you have many links, sir, your links are large.
I don't even know what to do with that.
He's using his
I always forget if you
That's like
if you do a Google search, to the Google search, it brings up the entire.
I'm not
that
one.
It brings up
That's
the whole
pretty big.
mess of stuff. Wow.
But yeah, sell sheets are definitely an art. Sell sheets are definitely an art, and actually, it's funny. I was talking to James Matthey about. We were just critiquing somebody's sell sheet online, and he had said that he doesn't like it when people.
James doesn't like something?
I know, eh? I need to hashtag curmudgeon after everything James writes, because it's funny. James is
He was
awesome.
my favorite in the documentary of just like the Douglas Morse.
I was just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say, did you guys see the documentary?
That
Yeah.
was the best moment. Oh man.
James is hilarious. But anyways, we were talking about how he doesn't like it when designers say why they think this game will sell on their sell sheet. And it's something that we used to say,
What
yeah.
market niche it fills, yeah.
Yeah, so they like James feels that's his job as the publisher to do that, right? And it's an interesting thing because I think that it shows that we're thinking about the market and we're thinking about the viability of a product beyond just the design, the initial design. And he said, no, you know what? I've heard from a couple other people who are just too polite to say it to your face that they don't like that. And James is pretty much blunt, right? So I said, yeah, that's fine. If it offends even one or two people, you might as well just leave it out if it doesn't add it that much value to your sell sheet in the first place. And then it also leaves a whole bunch of white space, which is nice because walls of text are no fun to read, right? So, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in the League of Game Makers and in Inspiration to Publication on specifically sell sheets. So there you go. Hey, sell sheets.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of business information tonight.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
All the biz.
All supported by some fine links, courtesy of W. Eric Martin.
I don't know if I'm going to share those sales sheet links. I'm sorry. Anyone out there, just Google it.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to practice your pitch. I'm still amazed. So we recorded a BGGCon a long talk with Todd Rowland from AEG talking about the different love letters that they're doing.
Yeah.
And he was describing again how Seiji actually pitched love letter to them in an elevator.
Yeah.
Like it was an elevator ride where they played the game because
a literal elevator pitch.
Yes, you just put the card in your hand and you're like, okay, I'll take a second card. I choose what I'm going to do. And that's how I first learned Love Letter was at Gen Con 2012, I think. It wasn't out yet. They were doing like test runs with AEG, and we were walking from one side of the convention hall to the other and playing as we were walking.
The only real way to learn Love Letter is on the move.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just staked out every elevator and just taught people in the elevators.
Hey, you want to learn a game?
Would you like to play a game? Ding!
There it is, folks. New way to pitch your games. Literally do the elevator pitch.
I've seen a few of those, like, walk and talk games that are supposed to be able to play in line or whatever, but I've never seen anything like Love Letter. I mean, it's a phenomenon.
Well, I will give a shout out for a game that no one other than Sen knows. But my co-designer Steven Sauer, who did the Walled City with me and Caffeine Rush, he did a game before we worked together called Apothecary, where he actually made that the game is about calling spells about things around you. So the whole design purpose was that you could play it literally anywhere. You could play it so the idea was we were at Snakes and Lattes when he started coming up with it, so you were like casting spells based on things in the room and you're calling them out. So I've played that game a little bit on the move, like at Toronto Film Festival, where you're in line and you just start calling spells and people look at you like you're crazy.
You know what I think is interesting is that like you guys are talking about Love Letter or these other these portable games and things, and you know what word I have not heard at all tonight from anybody?
App.
Microgame.
Oh, microgame.
Right? Like the microgame is just.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say it's dead because tons of games like Tiny Epic Galaxies and even like Harbor, Fidelitas, these are pretty small box games.
Yep.
But nobody's calling them microgames.
Yeah, we
anymore.
haven't really. Yeah, that's weird. We didn't mention it.
Well, and then if I can reach
That's a trend.
Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, I can get it.
Although
we didn't even give this a proper shout out.
Oh hey, thanks. Yeah.
The micro game from BGG.
You got number 4.
Number 4. Well, I happen to be friends with Kevin, so he.
Oh, awesome. Okay. He gave you one.
Yeah, hooked me up.
You realize that number 4 is a very, very unlucky number in Chinese numerology.
Oh no.
It's
really,
Japanese numerology. It's the number of death.
Oh, this is
it'd be very fitting because it's a zombie theme, so it's the number of death.
Oh.
It sounds like she is Well, it's the number 4, but it also sounds like death when you say it in Chinese and Japanese. Anyways,
How do you say it? How do you say it?
she.
Hmm.
We just got the artwork back from the artist because we met our stretch goal to make individual art for all
Individual
the
art. Yeah, I don't have individual.
So basically, they're double-sided. One's
Oh, nice.
the human side and one's the zombie side. So, hey, the zombie side.
Zombicide?
But man, it's hard being a publisher. You got to keep track of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like keeping the artist on schedule and making sure, you know, like, okay, now we got all the artwork. Now what's the next step? You know,
So what do you guys think about Kickstarter in general for games? What's your take on that? We talked about the bubble in the earlier show. Is Kickstarter a boon or a bane to the industry? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
All
you
answers.
don't got a link for that, Eric? You're just yes.
Yeah. There's actually a whole article about that he's going to source that says yes.
You want to start, Eric?
I mean, I could. I mean, the main thing, I've talked about this, and some people have already heard me say this, but the main issue I have with Kickstarter is that the promotion for a game is all now front-loaded to pre-Kickstarter. So, and some people do it really well. So if you look at Michael Coe at Gamelin,
Oh, sure.
who's been having out print and plays for Tiny Epic Galaxies for a couple months ahead of time, was pushing it at PGGCon and pushing it, showing, demonstrating it. And it worked fantastically, and he got tons of support. And now it'll just be like, you know, the whole thing vanishes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a magic trick.
It's like a one and done.
Yeah, it really is amazing how
It
big
disappears.
the success is and then how fast it disappears. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reprint. The reprint philosophy in the board game industry right now is it just doesn't really exist.
Right.
Like, unless it's a massive success, reprinting, like, for the Zombies game, we're deciding how many extra to print.
Yep.
And it's a fine question. Like, how do you figure out how many more extra to print? Because that's probably going to be it. Like, even if 100 other people want 100, 200, up to 1,000 other people want the game after that, it's not worth reprinting.
Yeah, it's not feasible
You have
financially.
to have many thousands of people, right? So it's going to be a one and done most of the time. But that's not my big issue with Kickstarter. My big issue is just the lack of a vetting of games, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, well, it lacks the gatekeepers, right? There's no publisher that
gatekeepers are gone, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, yeah, that's great," but I don't know. You played some of these games, you'd be like, "Nah, it's not that great."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good and bad thing. I mean, it's bringing a lot of money into the industry for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Kickstarter, like the $1 million campaigns are like one after the other these days. It's just unreal.
Yeah, well, I mean, the obvious question, exploding kittens?
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Let's just
that
I'm
really-
going to stop the broadcast
That's
now.
probably outside of our realm of what we do
Yeah.
as a gamer. I mean, that's a
An oatmeal production.
Yeah, exactly. That's an existing fan base, and that's fine.
Yep.
That's
What do you
the
guys
outline.
think about well, speaking of existing, what do you guys think of when an existing company that's already very well established uses Kickstarter? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
There's something
Now we
like
have
that.
I think it's a smart thing.
Yeah.
It's a marketing tool. Kickstarter is a marketing tool. Like it or not, people can say if it's a store, it's not a store. If it should be only for the little guys, should be the big guy. It's a marketing tool. You generate a lot of buzz that has never been generated before in the industry on a site where people give you money directly for a game that doesn't exist yet. That is amazing. And companies that, I mean, I Stephen Bonacore, I always bug. I'm like, hey, are you gonna kickstart your next game? Are you know, like, I know you. Yeah, I think those companies that don't do it are missing out a little bit. So that might be a little controversial. I know a lot of people don't like the big companies, but it's a marketing tool that exists, and if you don't use it, you're missing out on that marketing opportunity.
Right.
And you can run a company. Asmodee doesn't kickstart any games, as far as I know.
You think there's certain
and
games
then-
that are better or worse on Kickstarter?
Miniature games.
Miniature
yeah.
zombies, you know. Yeah, miniature games for sure are huge right now, right? So.
But what about like party games? I feel like there's a mix. Like sometimes a fun party game
Hit or
works,
miss,
sometimes
yeah.
it totally misses.
Yeah.
And people blame
Yeah,
like,
but can you
oh,
point to a party game that's like just exploded? I mean, exploding kittens aside, right?
I
Can
was
you,
just gonna say explode.
yeah, well, but like I've seen party games fund
Yep.
and do okay. Like Fun Employed is a really great party game,
Yep.
and they funded and they exceeded their funding goals, but they didn't explode.
Oh yeah, I mean
It didn't go
we
viral
barely
or
made our funding goal with But
With
Wait There's
But
More.
Wait.
But wait,
Exactly.
exactly.
And then Tom gave it his seal of excellence. So it's a good game. It's just
But
I
it's
don't
just a
necessarily think
Kickstarter
party games are the thing
Yeah.
that will sell on Kickstarter as much as
I'm always surprised what goes crazy and what doesn't. Like the Tiny Epic Galaxies
Yeah.
just went nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
I don't see any like medium heavy kind of Euro games on Kickstarter either.
I see reprints, right?
Reprints.
The
Yeah.
reprints go up there, and I
You
mean,
know,
like Orleans did okay. The
I was
deluxe
about to
version
say,
of Orleans.
Michael Mendez uses it as a tool to figure out how many games to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah. Yeah, for
That's-
sure. 100%.
For good or better, that's what the big companies will be. He's a medium company, or not. I wouldn't call him big, but he's not small.
No.
The controversy of big companies using this crowdfunding thing, it's like the tool is there for them to use, whether people enjoy it or not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, I was having a
And the-
conversation about this, and it's like you were saying, Aldi, your cash flow can go like that in this industry. And if a company can secure cash flow up front this way to make something you want,
Yep.
Why not
You're gonna do it. Why not do it? they're getting direct targeted marketing. They're getting
There really
Word
is
of mouth.
nothing, and combined with Board Game Geek too. We send a ton of traffic to Kickstarter.
oh yeah.
And, as an FYI, Kickstarter doesn't pay out any affiliate.
Really?
No,
Nothing.
zero, and they won't. They said they won't, and they never will.
Interesting.
Is basically what the email that I wrote to them, and I'm saying like, hey, we're sending like hundreds of thousands of users to you per month.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any affiliate program? You're making
Even like shared ad space or
like how many
Yeah.
millions of dollars has Kickstarter raised? Let's say 100 million or whatever. Of the 5%, and they take 5% of that, right? So
Yeah.
that's some significant money that's being extracted from the industry and not being put back in
Mhm.
anywhere. As far as I don't know what Kickstarter doesn't fund anything. They don't give their money out. Like, it's funny that the crowdfunding site that makes all this money doesn't put anything in anything. Now I may be completely wrong with that, but I haven't noticed anything.
It'd be cool if they did.
Yeah. Hey,
Like
we
give it some
send them
humanitarian
a
effort.
ton of links. Yeah.
I'm always dismayed at the, everybody, I see a lot of dialogues about how, Kickstarter isn't for the big guys. They have other budgets. They have other, established contacts and blah, blah, blah. And it's really for the small guys that are just trying to get a leg in. And I think it runs both sides, right? I think it's harder. It's getting harder for the smaller guys to be successful on Kickstarter. But I'm anybody who knows me knows I kickstart far too many games, and I follow the site very, very closely. And like just today, another game launched that it's one of the worst Kickstarter game campaigns I've seen in weeks and weeks. It's atrocious. It's got all the it's got so many bad cliches. I almost wonder if it's a joke, but I know it's not. But it's amazing because you have big companies, basically putting blueprints out on Kickstarter for game designers or game publishers or aspiring designers and publishers. Here's how an experienced professional company builds a Kickstarter page, and how it should look, and this is how it can be successful. And it's shocking to me how few people out there take those examples, take Jamie Stegmaier's advice, and implement it. And I know some of you are resource constrained and things like that, and I get that, but it's the big guys are jumping in there, and it can feel like they're shutting the little guys out, but sometimes I feel like the little guys aren't listening. and that's frustrating to me because I want the little guys to be successful too,
Yeah.
That's great advice back. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely Jamie Stegmaier, Richard Bliss, James Matthew, all those guys have some great data to back up their claims and to back up their advice. So it's evidence-based. So
and everyone needs to be reading their stuff.
Yeah, read their stuff.
If you're doing a Kickstarter, those are the people that you should be looking at and learning from.
Absolutely. We read Jamie Stegmaier's stuff before we did our Kickstarter.
Yep.
Went through all the stages, and obviously Board Game Geek has a big eyeball sitting there that helped But definitely you want to make your project look as pro as you can.
Hey, Aldie,
yeah.
Can I ask you a question about BGG?
No.
No? Okay. I mean, I'm just curious because I don't know. I've been on BGG for 10, 12 years. I don't know how many years now. But
many years, yeah.
I mean, it's evolved and it hasn't, and it's grown organically, right?
Yeah.
It's organic growth, which is cool in a lot of ways and sometimes detrimental in other ways. I mean, what are the big catalytic moments that you've seen, if any, over the last 10, 15 years? What are those moments in times that have really shifted the industry or shifted BGG, created a moment of opportunity, things like that? I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Let me think. Some of the stuff we did ourselves was the creation of user accounts. Oh, you've been on the site for 10 years, Eric. Just looked up. So yeah,
He's totally the source guy.
You do has all the data. You do.
You're amazing, Eric.
Yep, he is amazing. He's figured it out very quickly.
Here, I just looked up when Suzanne registered on BGG, and before I had total dollars pledged to Kickstarter is $1.5 billion.
That was an impressive stat.
1.5 billion. That's a lot of money.
And take 5% of that, Aldie, and put that into, I don't know, something like feeding people.
Well, it's a for-profit company, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I could go on about that, but whatever. So the board game geek thing. There's a couple of times during its lifetime that I noticed big things. For the first couple of years, there was no user account, so you didn't sign up. It was just here's a website with a bunch of information that we were cutting and pasting people's content from other places and putting it attributed with their name, right? So it would say, hey, here's Greg Schlosser was like the big one. He's written thousands of session reports. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We know Greg.
Very friendly.
And he's the friendliest gamer, the world's friendliest. So basically, we would cut and paste from people, and that relied on us to do all the work. But then once we turned it into more of a user-driven, which kind of back in the day, back in 2000, there really wasn't much like that, right? Like user-submitted content and user-moderated databases weren't in existence, really.
Free wiki.
Yeah, and so once that kind of turned on, that turned a switch, right? Because then it's like the crowdsourcing really is what turned things. So that's a big key to, let's say, the success of Board Game Geek. And the Geek Gold, which is this reward system that we have built into the website. That was a huge thing because then you had this like virtual currency that you could do things with, and it was useful to make your profile look better, and that was kind of like an invention. I don't even know where I got that idea. I can't remember. I mean, I must have had some kind of thing like, hey, we can just give away this currency. Anyway, so that was a big turning point. Like, that just opened the floodgates, right? Because then you had this, back in the day, you could basically request information, and people could fulfill it, and you would get Geek Gold out of the system.
Right.
Like, you could say, I want a picture of Tiger Euphrates, from whatever. You could specifically ask for stuff, and then people could fill that response, and then you would get the Geek Gold. So this like online currency kind of was a big turning point as well. And then obviously, if I can't mention Kickstarter, I have to mention Kickstarter as a big thing, because then you've got every single guy with a game idea or girl with a game idea that can make their game, and people are giving the money, and that's turned up the volume big time on the industry. So I think those few things over the years that are the big ones that I remember.
That's pretty cool. I didn't think about the Geek Gold, but that makes, I mean, you added a way to gamify in some ways.
Yeah, it was kind of gamification before
gamers.
Gamification existed, right? Yeah,
yeah, it's brilliant.
That was a big one.
That's cool.
And then kind of like the way the website was modified, it was like every day or week or something, I had some idea, I would just code it, boom, done. And it was quick iteration. Unfortunately, can't do that anymore. It's not as agile as it used to be.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
What other thing? Tabletop has been a big thing. Like, it's bringing a ton of new people in there.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they're all finding Board Game Geek, but they're, if they're searching for board games that are mentioned on tabletop, then you'll definitely eventually end up at Board Game Geek. So the tide, what's the phrase? The rising tide floats all boats. Yeah. So we're getting, new people in all the time. We get tons of people asking, like, we've got a contact email address, which is run by Matthew Octavian on the website, and I've recently subscribed to it to see it coming, and it's just people think we know everything about every board game ever made. Like it's almost like people are asking us as a Ask the Answer Man, that kind of thing.
You're like a magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
Shaking your 8-ball.
They're like, what's the
a lot of
rule
crazy
to...
stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric, we didn't hear that.
Scott put me on the list briefly, and I don't think I'm on it anymore. I know you were changing things around, but there are people sitting in and be like, I want quotes on 500 boxes that'll be 11 by 8. And you're just like, whoa.
It's weird. Like, people think we know the answers.
Wait, you
don't?
Manufacturing. I don't know. That's funny.
We get a
Well,
lot of
I'm sure Eric has a link for.
I have a link for that. Too funny.
All right, sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Well, I was curious with the growth and kind of the expansion of BGG Con. I was curious. Do you see an evolution of? I mean, there's also other conventions doing this, like Unpub and Protospiel, but do you see any aspect of the BGG Cons involving, either seminars or more, the playtesting, the prototyping? Are there going to be any growth in that area?
I wish we had the space for it, to be honest. Like, we're really limited by the fact that we're in that hotel, limited by the space, and that's kind of what we want it to be.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll ever be like a Gen Con with a million events going on all at the same time.
Sure.
Just by the factor of it's a place to play and then go crash in your hotel room in the same spot.
Right.
If we moved it to a convention center, it would be a completely different beast, right? Like, it wouldn't be this... Like, the focus was always, let's just play board games, and we've got this amazing library that we can share with people that I've built up over the years, right? And it's like, that's the goal of the convention. Other conventions do those seminars, really awesome. I wish we had the space for it. Like I said, not going to happen, unfortunately, because that's where we're going to be for, like, the foreseeable future.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the way the BGG Con philosophy is. I wish it was a little different, but...
Do you see
I'm happy with the way
a future spin-off like BGG Family? Do you see?
Until we get out of the hotel room, the hotel convention thing, it probably won't happen.
Gotcha.
Right, and it's just a matter of space.
Yep.
Is really what it boils down. Not a matter. I mean, I would love that kind of stuff.
What, Eric?
I'll mention that New York Toy Fair, though, I had multiple publishers say that BGG Con is their favorite convention. And I think it's mostly because the focus is just on playing. They have their exhibitor space, which is, 10 to 6, I think? And then they're done. Yeah. And they just go play stuff.
Totally, they can have a fun time.
It's very low pressure. Very fun.
I wanted to ask you guys a quick question about just... in BGG and the resources that you guys provide. That's actually how I found it. It was very odd. Not very odd. I mean, it's how probably everybody finds it. But like the gaming dumpster and the game cabinet and all those things that we were talking about before, that BGG kind of replaced that for me. And then I found things like universal heads, things, and David Short's short design, little cue card rule summaries and whatnot. And it's all collected on the Geek, which to me was the big draw. Was this is where I could find everything that I had to go to multiple sources for before. What are some of your favorite resources that exist from the Geek existing? Where people found that kind of
creation.
What do you think?
I think the marketplace is one of my favorite things. Yeah, I mean, I've utilized that quite a lot. Tracking down, building up the library and stuff. If you miss a game, like we said, the chances of reprints are very unlikely these days, unless it's a mega hit, right? So kind of going back and be like, oh yeah, I had that game back. I sold off a good portion of my collection back before I got married to pay for the wedding.
Right.
I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but board games are a great investment. They hardly lose any value.
Yes.
It's true.
And
Daryl is the king of
you
flippers.
get a lot of enjoyment from it, and then you can sell them, and then you can buy them back, and then I still offer.
My board game collection is cost neutral, so
Okay.
because I'll wait till something's out of print.
That San Marco up there is super valuable.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't part with that because I just love it.
Yeah.
But usually, if something's out of print, I'll say, you know what? Hopefully, it'll come back. So I'll flip this now. And
Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't.
yeah.
So that's always something and that's what I when I was rewriting the website, like as we're rewriting the website, the marketplace was one of those things that was like vastly neglected. It was just this. When I learned PHP programming, I learned it from a thing called the PHP Programming Black Book. Remember those books that are like 6 inches thick and they have the code all in there? And I learned how to do a shopping cart system from it.
Awesome.
It was really badly coded, so I finally rewrote it like this past year, and so now I'm proud that the marketplace is a lot easier to use, a lot smoother, and one of my favorite things on the website right now.
Cool. And Eric, what's your favorite thing on the website?
One more. Favorite thing on the site? I don't know. I mean, it's mostly just having all the games. I love doing the find a random game.
Oh yeah. I don't think I've ever used that. I'll have to use it.
I don't even know what that is. There's a function that's find a random.
I'm going right now. Hold on.
I'm looking.
I didn't remember doing that. Is it
Under the Browse tab.
Oh, that's right.
Under the Browse
tab. Sen's gonna screen share.
There's a random game button.
Oh, look at that.
All right, here I am in Board Game Geek, and where is it?
Browse.
Under Browse.
Random game.
Wow,
I've
never seen that.
Hey, what game are we buying next? Five-line
poker.
All right, Richard Hutnick.
Do another one.
You just made a sale.
Do another one.
All right.
Get something with a picture.
Yeah,
there was a picture that's not a three-dimensional box.
Oh, there you go. Oh my goodness.
This is an expansion, but I want to play
Carnegie.
Carnegie.
Yeah, Carnegie.
I have the other game that publisher made. It started with a W. What was that?
Well, you could click on the publisher name.
Amazing.
Yeah, click on the publisher name.
I will.
Waraka, I think it's pronounced.
Well, it's funny because
sit down.
I've been noticing a lot of the new people in the industry, in the hobby, just don't know how deep this thing goes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of these, like a lot of people I know focus on like a lot of the new stuff, and
Rockwell. I have Rockwell.
Yeah.
But there's another one. There's another one though.
Oh, Rockwell, yeah.
There's a W.
A W game. Oh, that one. We were Kwacha.
Yes,
we're
Kwacha. This is a great game. Totally under the radar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that game.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose so much of my life to this stupid link.
Random button.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, Eric.
I forgot it was there, to be honest.
Wow.
That is a great game. I highly recommend it. So, we're a co-op. Sit-down games.
Another thing, to toot our own horn, Eric's been doing these preview geek lists, which I find super valuable.
Yeah, I like them.
Though I'm basically having him do it, or he's come up with this on his own. But when we go to Spiel, I go through that geek list like with a fine-tooth comb, make sure we get the games that we need back for BGG.
Absolutely.
And that's like a one-stop sort of one. It's 50 pages long, but it's all there.
The very first time I ever discovered Board Game Geek was actually I had bought a used copy of Mr. Jack, and it had in it a printout with FAQ.
This is a funny story.
And the FAQ was provided by the BGG user Squash, who is
Squash, he's a Canadian.
He's Canadian. So I looked it up, and I'm like, that's weird. His last name is the same as a guy I play board games with, and it's his brother. And just randomly, I play board games with his brother, and I get this printout of him just, he made this user-friendly visual player aid. And so
cool.
Now I play games with him on a regular basis. And so, just an example of fan creation of someone, he's passionate about games and loves making different resources for people to, enjoy games even more. And he just puts it up there, just these little resources or He likes to pimp out
that's-
games. So
One thing I love about the hobby is like there's just so many people like super generous with their time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
They do stuff for no money and put it up for everyone to use, and it's great.
Whoa, it is 1:03.
Oh my
It
goodness!
is
Wow, we can just talk, can't we?
Yeah, we can talk. So I guess on that note, we should probably wrap up because I've got 2 exams to do tomorrow.
Yeah, you know,
Lucky me.
get a proctor to do it for you.
I don't. I'm part-time faculty. I don't get a proctor.
Oh man, you gotta hire him.
brutal.
That's what I did in college. I had helped with giving tests.
Yeah. So hey, look, this is where you can reach us. So thank you guys for staying on with us in the after show. We really appreciate your time. We love talking to you guys, and it's always great to see all of you at the gathering when we're there. Suze will have to get you there some year, so all 5 of us can be together and play some cool 5-player game. So yeah, if you are watching and you like what we do, please take a look at our Kickstarter campaign. We're going to be linking it up on our Facebook, Twitter, etc., and support if you can. We really do appreciate it. So thanks to Aldie, thanks to Eric Martin, Suze, our guest host, and for the rest of us at Meeple Syrup, thank you, and we'll see you later. Bye!